All right, Jesse's back. It's Path of Exile 3.19 review time. A little assessment, and I want to be clear. I'm not quitting the league. I'm going to keep playing. I still have goals to reach, but because there's been so much drama and buzz and discussion about some of the changes that the game has experienced, um, I thought I would give my insight, my 2 cents, my perspective based on um, my own league experience and also past experience with other games, etc. So let's start with some of the things I noticed immediately when I was playing at the start of the league. Less currency, less drops. It just felt a little bit worse. I league started with Rage Vortex. And for some reason, I literally I didn't get a Divine Vessel. I just didn't drop a Divine Vessel until I was in the 90s, I think. And that was one of the things that I thought to myself. I was like, okay, every single other league I've ever played, by this time in the filling out the Atlas, I usually have at least 2 or 3 or 4 Divine Vessels, and I had 0. So I was like, little things like that. And really, really early on, before they changed currency a bit, and then before they nerfed some of the Arch Nemesis stuff, it felt really, really, really bad. Like I was gonna quit the league, and then they made some of those changes, and I decided to stick around. I don't really have any other games to play. I do still love this game, and I have things I want to do. Also, I took last league off basically, so this league I'm a little more motivated, and I have things I want to try. So I'm sticking around despite all these complaints. Terrible balance is the next thing I've written down here. The game is not very well balanced right now. Not even close. There are just a lot of skills that are bad mechanically, and they didn't receive any love numerically. So just bad. There's just a lot of bad skill gems. There's a very, very low percentage of, I mean, obviously strike skills I don't even need to talk about. Things like double strike, dual strike, glacial hammer, like heavy strike, whatever those kind of skills you want to play. Melee in general is just in a trash state. The whole bottom left side of the tree. If you want to play a Marauder, which I can go to my character selection and show you, I've played a lot of Chieftains, which is the worst ascendancy in the game right now. And I haven't made a Chieftain this league. I don't know if I will. I made a Juggernaut and I made a Berserker, and I just don't know if I have the heart to try to fight through that uphill battle. And in addition to the game itself being terribly, terribly balanced, the in-game mobs are very terribly balanced. They're just not well balanced. The damage, the health, there are all kinds of weird scaling things that are just off. The numbers are not good. The numbers are off. And a lot of people expressed disappointment in, I guess the 6 months that they had. This was kind of the big patch, because there were, they didn't have a patch last league. So this was a longer time for them to fine tune some things, tweak some things. And it doesn't feel good. And it's one of those times when you almost feel like maybe a PTR like Diablo 2 Resurrected, like Diablo 3, like dozens of other games do. I mean, specifically Blizzard is one. Maybe a PTR is warranted. Maybe it is. I hate to say it. Maybe you do a PTR and you don't do playtest realm, by the way, is what that stands for. And you don't put the league mechanic in there. Maybe that's what you do. Maybe you make changes to the game, to skill gems, to character balance, to ascendancy balance. Deploy that as a patch for a week, or even less. Even if you just want to give players an opportunity to play for 3 days, you bet your ass the streamers will be able to get to end game in like 8 hours. Doesn't matter what changes you make to the game. Um, just give people a chance to give feedback and express their opinion about the balance of the game. Um, you know, I think that maybe be warranted because it is clear that your test team either doesn't exist or the people that are giving feedback are not representative of the player base or whatever. And I get it. It's a 3-month league cycle. You can't really afford to do that. Most other games of that format that have that kind of thing have much longer league cycles with 2-week PTRs, and I get that. So it's kind of hard to do that. But this is one of those situations where it was really bad. And so it's just a bad look. Shitty aura defense situation. I talk about this a little. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more as well, but you can't. You just need defensive auras. They're mandatory in the game if you don't want to die a lot. And it's a little bit frustrating that, you know, there were some big changes to defenses a few leagues ago, but it doesn't feel perfect. And the only changes they really made this league was, you know, nerfing Defiance banner and then extending the fortification from 5 seconds to 6 seconds, which is just embarrassingly not enough for the melee classes. But it's it just sucks. It sucks that every character in the game is running the same defensive tools and running and scaling aura effect. It sucks. It really does. It's limiting for a lot more reasons than just you have to reserve mana and get mana reservation nodes and aura effect nodes in order to play the game. It's already limiting enough because of that. But it's even more limiting because you feel like there's a lot more design space there from a defensive standpoint where maybe the chest piece, the item pieces matter more. Maybe they matter more from a defensive standpoint. Or maybe you just, I don't know. You got to figure it out. Defenses are fucking whack in this game. They just are. And I think maybe part of that is due to bad balance of in-game mobs. They're just, from a damage standpoint, they're designed poorly. Enemy chaos damage, this league in particular, is stupid. It's just stupid. Either tell us we need max chaos resistance and force us to limit our gear choices even more, or rebalance what chaos damage is in the game. Because it goes without saying, obviously, not just a few leagues ago, you could run red maps with like 0% chaos resistance and be fucking fine. You didn't get one shot, basically. You had enough. If you got poisoned, you flasked, or if you got hit with some actual chaos damage, like from the little veil constructs, you were usually fine. You just flasked. You had your other defensive tools available. This league, none of that's an option. You will die in one hit, basically. The chaos damage is fucked. Spell suppression requirement sucks. I mean, you know, like, what do you do? Like, I mean, you know, we have to have more suffixes because there's exposure, there's minus max resistance, there's, I mean, you know, the kind of elemental damage that we're taking now is just more. And what's been happening is, like, there's been nerfs in player power, right, for a while. But the problem is this league in particular was huge buffs to monsters and game difficulty overall. And I think the Arch Nemesis changes, I mean, it caused cascading effects. And I've talked about this in past videos. I don't play the game to grind a certain type of content. I don't just make an S tier character and do expedition over and over on a loop for 6 hours. That sounds fucking awful. I like to make weird meme builds with weird mechanics, weird scaling mechanics, weird items. I love to make items. Like a lot of unique items on a build is very exciting to me. I like to test things out and try new things. You know, I don't like to play meta skills. I don't like to play meta classes even. I mean, I like to play off meta ascendancies. But gearing, as a result of Arch Nemesis, as a result of the game being just, I guess, more difficult, monsters being poorly balanced or whatever, in order to survive and in order to deal enough damage, gearing is just very, very frustrating and difficult right now. If you want us to use unique items and you want us to use, you know, new, interesting, maybe something that got buffed this league, some unique item that got buffed, if you want us to use those, we have to be able to survive in maps. And I know that we're playtesters, I get that, but it is not, you know, gearing is just not in a good place, I don't think, for somebody like me who doesn't have a lot of currency. I don't farm a lot of currency. I'm not like a currency grinder. I'm literally like a re-roller for fun. I play the game for fun. So I re-roll characters a lot and I try different skills a lot. And, you know, so what I'm usually spending my money on is like interesting alternate skill gems, you know, like I'm trying shit, you know, but like the game feels a lot harder for someone like me who explicitly does not make an S tier build to grind currency. The game is a lot worse for me. You know, people that, I mean, you know, I'm always impressed with people like Mathel who do make builds a lot. They re-roll and they make new builds, but the difference is that Mathel literally plays, you know, 8-10 hours a day. And I think part of it is because of the rewards also getting scaled back at the same time because of the whole, people have talked about it in past videos, you know, the league mechanic, you know, currency drop rate or whatever. It, yeah, it makes it more frustrating for people who like to experiment and play for fun, for sure. It feels worse. Feels like you have to grind like white and yellow maps for a lot longer before you get to have fun and play in the end game and play in your red maps and actually go do things that are in-game appropriate. And then this whole glass cannon explode meta, it's funny because like I don't know what GGG thinks is going to happen, but because everything sucks to like try and experiment, well, what's inevitably going to happen is people are just going to make glass cannons that blitz maps. And I mean, I guess that's always been the case, but I don't understand why they think that people were going to change their playstyle to like fight arch nemesis monsters and be like, ooh, like shit, I better get you know, my debuff reduction. Oh, I better get, you know, I get debuffed too often, so I'm gonna get like minus 50%, you know, debuff. Like, you know, people aren't gonna do shit like that. Instead, they're just gonna one shot everything and make a character that has like 3k HP and 20 million damage. Like, I feel like the opposite has happened. They expected us to be slowed down and expected like everyone, you know, a sinking tide lowers all ships. But what's actually happened is like the people at the bottom sank really fucking low and the people at the top are doing the exact same thing they've always done. It just feels, it's so ass backwards. On ground effects, visual clarity, I don't even want to talk about it. It's just, I'm trying a weird cast on crit meme build that eventually I'm going to do a video about, I think. So I actually am enjoying it, you know, despite this league being trash. The visual clarity is so atrocious in this game. There are a lot of times where I'm trying to cyclone to cast on crit, and I literally can't figure out where to cyclone because I can't even see the fucking monster that I'm trying to kill. This is pretty bad in Harvest with those little things. You literally can't see it. You don't know where it is. But it's bad with essences and everything else in this game. You can't even fucking see the enemy who you're supposed to know that he's about to do some weird attack or drop some weird ground effect. Like, you can't see shit in this game. You cannot see shit. And everything happens so fast. Everything is hasted and like zipping around. Like, you know, it's just so, oh God, it's bad. Anyways, and here are a couple things that I feel like GGG can learn from other games here. So the defensive scaling that I already talked about how in this game you can get your resistance is lowered. You can get your resistance, max resistance lowered. You can get shocked. I mean, you can have some kind of status on yourself that causes you to take a lot more damage, things like that. One of the things that I liked about Diablo 3 is don't get me wrong, this is a lot more boring. It's a lot more boring, and sometimes it's like, oh, that's too bland. That's too boring. Well, in Diablo 3, your defenses on your character sheet reflect how at risk you are of dying in a fucking Greater Rift. Like, it's a very, very clear, linear, like, this is how much damage you're going to take from these monsters. And I don't know if that's monster damage scaling is better and makes more sense, or that the defensive scaling in Path of Exile is just fucked. It doesn't feel good. I mean, the reason I even recorded this video to begin with is because I died in a map with no mods. I just opened the map to do an Alva mission, and then I got one shot. I think it was a Chaos Weaver rare, right? And I got one shot, and which, you know, I mean, surprised me. You know, I have good block, but clearly I didn't block the attack, and I have decent chaos resistance, but clearly not enough. And I have a pretty low HP pool. This is not a strong character, but this was a white map. Not a white map. This was a yellow map, but it was normal. It was not even magic. And it, you know, in Diablo 3, like, you can, the difficulty, it's very clear your risk of dying based on how difficult the content is. In Path of Exile, you have no fucking idea. The essence monster that you crack open, it could do 0 damage to you, or it could kill you in one shot. And you have no fucking idea. No idea, based on reading the mods, if it is or is not going to. And even if you see some mods that you think it's going to be fine and dandy, you might get one shot anyways, because this game is just fucked, and the damage scaling of monsters is really wonky. There have been metamorphs where I crack open these dangerous metamorphs, and they literally do nothing to me. They're literally, like, not even, as far as I know, they're not even moving. They're not even attacking. I just kill it while it just stands there. And then there are other metamorph monsters where I die before I actually see the monster take any action. I die before I see the monster cast a spell or cast an attack. My health drop goes to 0 and I'm dead, and I can't tell what happened. I have no idea. Metamorph is a good one, and then Essence are a good one for, you know, as examples of that just being super fucked. So visual clarity, I talked about that a little bit. Diablo 3's visual clarity embarrasses this game. I mean, it is 1,000 times better, and it's actually not even close. You know, Diablo 3, you always know what kills you. It's very, very clear. You can just look on the screen and see what happened. It's very clear. This game, it's just not. I think the reason that Arch Nemesis is so poorly received is because, you know, this game used to be about just like your power fantasy and just slaying everything, and just, you don't even see the monsters. You don't even see the modifiers, because you just whoosh, you just go through the map, chill, fun. And like, this game is not at least it hasn't been designed in a way where you try to dodge shit. It just has never been that way. Ever since I played it, you know, I don't know when my first league was, maybe Synthesis, Legion, I don't know how long ago, but there was never a time when I was like, oh, that monster's doing a wind-up attack, I better dodge it. Like, that just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. There are a couple of bosses, and bosses maybe, that's where you want to do that stuff. Okay, the boss winds up, you gotta dodge it. Okay, that's fine. Rare monsters, you can't do that shit. It just doesn't work. It's not working. And I want to talk about Dota as well. GGG can learn from Dota. You can learn from IceFrog. You know why? So I've played Dota a lot. I still play sometimes. IceFrog has no fucking problem, no issue with deleting something from the game. Players don't like it, it's gone. Do you remember when shrines used to heal? There were shrines in the jungle and by your tier 3 tower. They used to heal you, like almost back up to full. You click on it and it would heal you. It's like you had a fountain heal in the middle of the fucking map. And he tried it out. It wasn't received well. The meta wasn't good. Players didn't really like it. It just messed the game up. It made things way fucked. And so he just took it out. He just deleted it. He was like, you know what? We tried it. It didn't work. We'll back it out. Do you remember Poor Man's Shield? Do you remember Iron Talon? Remember all these items that IceFrog introduced? And then it's like, this didn't work. We're just going to revert it. We're going to delete it. We're going to get rid of it. We're going to go back to the way it was. Then he does it all the fucking time. Same with like hero reworks and all this stuff. Like some stuff is just like, it's just delete it. I think GGG is trying to do that by refreshing old leagues. And I just, you know, I still think that there's a little stubbornness there, but it's fine. And then the other thing about balance that always impresses me about Dota is that if a hero has a good win rate and it's always at the top of the meta and it's doing really fucking well, then yes, that hero is going to get nerfed. But they also change literally every fucking hero in the game. If you look at all these patches, every patch, basically every fucking hero gets touched. If it had a bad win rate, it always gets a buff. Even if it's a small buff, it always is there. It always gets a buff. Every single fucking ascendancy that has a low win rate, a low play rate, you just buff it. You don't have to buff it huge, but every fucking cycle, you just add a little bit more. Just give it 10% more armor on this small node. It doesn't matter. But if you're trying to, I don't think the balancing is nearly as hard as they are making it out to be. The person just goes through the skill gems that aren't played. That's it. It's not hard. And if they overbuff it, they just nerf it the next patch. I just don't understand why balancing is so difficult for them. The melee stuff, you just make numerical changes to the strike skills, make them stronger, make them a lot stronger. And then eventually you'll see some videos of people like smoking some Ubers with it, and then you'll nerf it to the next league. But it's so much better to do that than make those constant changes where, oh, it's too strong, now it's too weak, now it's too strong, now it's too weak. You constantly do. That's so much better than what's currently happening with like the Chieftain Ascendancy and, you know, slam skills, melee skills, but also like, I don't know, Glacial Cascade or something. I don't know. Find uses for skills and playstyles that don't exist, that are dead. You know, I don't know. I just think that they have it in their mind that they want things to play out. They really want it to play out. It's like, well, we'll just see. Let's wait and see. But I mean, your player base, it's a blessing and a curse that your player base is addicted to your game. Your player base is addicted to your video game. So, you know, the longer that you sit on your hands and don't act, you know, your player base is so fucking rabid. They're like crack addicts. You just gotta feed them shit all the time. I think that they I don't know why they don't just hire someone full time where all they do is just make constant fucking changes to numerical stuff. Numerical changes fucking bi-weekly. I mean, just pump out random numerical changes. This skill a little bit better, this skill a little bit worse. Just little percentages here and there. It doesn't... Anyways, this video has gone on way too long. That's my ramble. This was a long one. I might make a video about this weird meme build I've been trying. Maybe, maybe not. But either way, have a good one. Goodbye.